guys, before we get into today's video, if you like the band vest top I am wearing, this is my band Wooden Elephants. These are available from T-Mail, the link is below. They are 100% cotton and responsibly sourced. We also have the CD. If you are interested in one of those, just DM us privately and you can get a digital copy from Bandcamp, links are below. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today, as my channel is dedicated to Plastic Free July, we are going to discuss world building, but with a particular interest on the environment. The environment of your world makes a huge difference to the overall story you will write. And today I'm going to go through a few things that you guys should take into consideration when you are plotting your novel. Before we get into that, if you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. Your continuous support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. The environment in your book can shape the plot and everything about your characters. It decides what they wear. It can decide what their houses are like. It decides what's important and not important to them. It basically has a massive effect on your story. For example, if you have read Dune by Frank Herbert, the Fremen in that book are obsessed with water because it is a desert planet and there is a lack of water. This therefore makes water more important than money, and it costs so much to have. This also means that they wear still suits, which is where they collect their own sweat, which can be recycled and they can then drink it. It affects a lot about your world. They also live underground in the desert where they can collect the water from the inhabitants, basically in the cave. You can also see the environment having an impact in George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones, where we have in the north, above the wall, where it's ice and snow. Obviously, the people are obsessed with just getting to easier to live climates where they can farm, where they can hunt a bit easier, and where you won't die of the cold. You then have the north, which is the in-between, where they're always preparing for winter and have a good food storage from the summer ready. You then go down into the south of Westeros, where you have King's Landing and all the major cities, basically, where they have a nice mild climate. They don't have to worry too much about the cold. They have grain in storage, but it's going to be grown all year round. And then you have Dawn, where it's a lot hotter, where people wear a lot different clothing, and you can see the different hairstyles, you can see the different clothing types, the housing types throughout the various families of Westeros, and this is all decided by the climate. This also affects what the people in those climates care about the most. So in the north, you generally just care about survival. In the capital, it's all about who's sleeping with who has the most power, because they don't need to worry about the food or anything like that because it's always there. And then in Dawn just seems pretty damn relaxed, if you ask me. The environment also plays a massive role in post-apocalyptic books. If you look at things like Day After Tomorrow or even zombie films, you can see how people's priorities have changed and how people live. There are a lot of science fiction books where the sea levels have risen and people are living in sky-rise buildings, but having to use boats in between or building bridges in between. It changes a lot. So we know that the environment is important to your book, and this is an aspect of your world building. So this is something that you should do before you're writing the book and decide. Obviously, if you are a pantser or a gardener, you can do this throughout. Basically, every time your protagonist moves to a different area, think about what that area is going to be and then describe it. But here are my 5 things that you should take into consideration whilst you're world building the environment of your book. And remember, the environment plays a massive role in the overall plot and story that you will then tell. Number 1, temperature. How hot or cold is the climate where your protagonist is going to be? This will decide what clothes they wear. It can decide what the houses are going to look like. You know, is it going to be like England where you have double and triple glazed windows? Or is it going to be like France where you have shutters to keep out the sun in the middle of the day? These will all play a major role because, for example, say you are doing a book about an assassin. If an assassin is in a cold climate, they're going to have big cloaks, they're going to have hats and gloves. This can mean that they can hide more weapons on their body. It could mean that they have special gloves so the fingers come off so they can grip their sword easier. Whereas if you're in a very hot country, perhaps your assassin's more likely to use very small weapons, concealed daggers or throwing knives, because there's going to be less clothing for them to hide under, and it may look suspicious if they're walking around in a cloak. Number 2, seasons. Does your world have different seasons, and how long or short are they? Depending on what country you go to in the modern world, this has a huge impact. In South Korea, where we lived for 2 years, you had a long summer and a long winter, but your spring and autumn, to be honest, were like 2 weeks long. That is something that global warming has contributed to and something that Korea is having to deal with. Likewise, in England, we are getting longer summers, but our seasons are all shifting. So it's England, we never know what's going on. The different seasons you have specifically affects what food your protagonist is going to be able to eat or find. If they have a prolonged winter, they're not going to be able to have fresh fruit or fresh crops. There's going to be a lot more hunting. If it is forever summer, then there's going to be a lot of fruit on trees. They're probably going to eat a lot of salad type things. It also depends on how many foods your protagonist would have to carry with them, like jerky or preserved vegetables. What would they have? Even if this is just something that your protagonist sees in passing, these are the minute details which will make your world believable when your protagonist walks through a market town, for example. Number 3, plant life. What plants are in your environment? Now, yes, this does contribute to the type of crops and food your protagonist is going to eat, but also, are there lots of trees? Could people perhaps live in tree houses? Does that mean there's a lot of shade? Is it mossy? Is it boggy? Are they going to have dangerous plants, like a lot of poisonous plants? Are they going to have a lot of plants that are actually predators? Perhaps you have oversized plants because the climate is warm enough for them to photosynthesize and they have less night and more day. The type of plants you have will decide a lot. It will also help decide how your protagonist is going to camp out if they are journeying. It can also decide how the cities are built. Are they going to have problems with vines? Are there going to be deadly things climbing up the sides of buildings where if you touch it you could die? The climate will decide a lot of this and also will decide how much of it you have. Is your world going to be luscious and green and full of forests, or is it going to be desert where there's barely any plants to hide it from the sun? Is it going to be full of ice where nothing grows? Take it all into consideration. Number 4, the wildlife. Is it dangerous? This is the obvious question. This is like England versus Australia. England, you can walk around in the woods. You're the most dangerous thing in this country. In Australia, everything wants to kill you. So which are you? Where is your world? Are your protagonists going to have to be wary when they're traveling? Are they going to have to watch when they sleep? Are they going to have to sleep on higher ground due to snakes? The temperature of your world will also decide this. In hotter climates, you're going to get a lot more reptiles. In colder climates, you're going to get a lot more mammals. And finally, number 5, sustainability. This is what links this category of world building most towards Plastic Free July, but also is actually something you may want to consider in your writing. If sustainability is a problem, like in June by Frank Herbert, water is scarce. This means that there's a lot of warfare between different tribes who need water. Having scarce supplies in your world due to any form of global warming, any form of environmental practices, anything, it can be man-made, it can be natural, will put a strain on your characters. As I said with Game of Thrones, the North is obsessed with survival because it's a harsh landscape. They have to be thinking about how they will survive, compared to the South where everything is in abundance and therefore they can be more concerned with other things. The resources in your world or on your planet and where they are in relation to the various populations can create wars between your civilizations. It could be why your protagonist is in this story to begin with. They could be trying to migrate from one harsh environment to another. They could be fighting off another civilization who's trying to steal their land because they themselves don't have enough land to grow crops. It plays a massive role. And again, in post-apocalyptic books, what caused the apocalypse? Was it global warming? Was it a man-made virus? It's going to have an effect. I'd like to question you guys on this as well now. So those are my 5 tips on what you should consider whilst you're world building, specifically about your environment. But do you think, now this is just a theory, this could be why most fantasy-based books take place in Europe? And that's all I've got for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. I post your own bookish pictures, as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. Good luck with your world building. I hope this helps. Don't forget, when you are world building, the environment is one of the first things you want to take into consideration, as we have discussed, it has a knock-on effect on basically everything in your world. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye.